Number 8, military transfers. Do we have folks in the room who live near a military base? Anybody? Wonderful. Would you folks like to take a minute to learn how to really build your real estate investing business, do lots of deals, and do a public service at the same time? Yes? Yes. This is killer, guys. I found out about this totally accidentally when my son was in Camp Lejeune, North Carolina. We brought the kids a rolling baby shower because they were pregnant with our first grandchild at the time, and we brought the big truck that had the "we buy houses" all over it because it was the only one big. It had the crib and I mean everything. So my son takes us out on the base, and we're driving around on base, and he's like, "That's the commissary, and that's where we shoot the guns," and all that stuff. And so we get home, and there's like 2 messages on the answering machine from fellas who had seen our truck on base. So we turned right back around, and we drove back to North Carolina. That will teach you not to check your answering machine when you're gone. So we turned right back around, we drove back to North Carolina. Here's what happens. The military woos these men and women in and says, "You're going to be stationed here for 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, whatever that is." They use their VA certificate, they purchase a home off base, they pay pretty much full retail, they bring their family, they move all in, they get all comfy, and 6 months later they get transferred somewhere else. Now they have a house and a mortgage that they neither want nor need. They can't afford to write a check for realtor fees because they paid full retail for this property. They have very little time to sell it because these transfers take place in a couple of weeks. These are ideal situations for you to simply have these properties deeded to you for the balances of the mortgage. Now, if you get the home deeded to you for the balance of the mortgage, remember, they pay pretty much full retail, and there's very little to no equity in these properties. Darn. What you're going to do is you're going to hold these properties longer term to build some equity. Now, you could do that 2 ways. You can either rent them or you can lease option them. Believe me when I tell you, this is one time you really want to rent properties. No. Working with the military is like working with Section 8 on steroids. And here's why. The military takes the money for their rent bi-weekly out of their paycheck, and they deposit the money in your checking account once a month for the full amount of the rent. The military sets the rent for you. I like that. Believe it or not, I like that. Here's what we had. The first house we got, 424 bedrooms, 2 bath, land, beautiful home. We ended up moving my son and his wife into that one. But the military set the rent on that property at $750 a month. Real stuff. The military takes the money out of their paycheck, deposits it directly in mine there. If the person damages your property, they have to answer to their superior officer, not you. This is killer stuff, guys. The only thing the military does require of you, and they will check your lease, is that you must clause in there, basically saying that if this person is transferred for whatever reason, that you cannot penalize them by withholding security deposit or withholding rent. But the military will turn right back around and help you to find another person to go back into your property. Is this killer stuff or not? Yes? I have properties in Jacksonville, North Carolina that I have not seen in 3 years. All I see are nice big deposits going into my business checking account on the last working day of every month. Now, there's a couple of ways that you can find these folks. One is definitely by using these direct mail campaigns. Another is by simply running an ad in the military newspaper on base. And another is to simply put out signs around the base in the area where you want to be buying properties. This is absolutely a killer way to grow your real estate business and do a public service at the same time. I'll tell you something else. These boys and ladies talk to one another, and you will start getting referrals. Okay, we ended up getting more referrals than any ad I ever ran. Okay, because they just keep getting transferred. Okay, it's a lousy thing, but that's what happens. As a matter of fact, one of the stories that was kind of cool was we had one fella that we got the house from, kept it as a rental, and he got transferred, and he was transferred for 2 years, and when he came back, he wanted to find out if he could buy his house back because they came back in town and they wanted to stay there. And so when the person's lease was up, he ended up buying his property back, so that was kind of neat too.